What if I told you the reason you're not making more money has nothing to do with your job, and everything to do with who you've become? Most people work hard for a paycheck, but very few work hard on themselves. In the next few minutes, you'll discover the life-changing principle that turned an ordinary man into a millionaire, and it could completely change your future too. How about 10 times? I'm telling you the answer is yes. It happened to Farm Boy from Idaho. I'm telling you, it is possible to create more value, bring it to the marketplace, and get paid a lot more for the same time in the same time, but for a much greater value. Now, how do we create this value? By the way, here's another way to explain it. I draw a little ladder here for kids that starts in America. We start down here, let's say, at $5 an hour. In relating all of this now to the marketplace, America is a ladder to climb economically. It's a ladder to climb, starts here at $5 an hour, and this ladder just starts going up like this. Top income last year, 200 million, right? The guy that runs Disney, Mickey Mouse, kids know Mickey Mouse, so now that's a heck of a ladder to climb, right? Starting at $5 an hour and going all the way up to 200 million. No wonder everybody wants to come here. That's a heck of a ladder, right? If I was in Cuba, I'd build a raft. I mean, to try to get here, right? This is a heck of a ladder. Now, what also is exciting about this ladder is there's plenty of room at the top. It's the bottom that's crowded, important to know, and there's plenty of room all the way up. But now that we've drawn this little diagram, now we can ask kids some questions. Why would the marketplace pay some people only $5 an hour? Simple answer, because they're not very valuable to the marketplace. Now, you got to underline heavily to the marketplace. Might be a valuable brother, yes. Might be a valuable member of the family, of course. Valuable citizen of the country, without a doubt. A valuable member of the church, yes. Valuable in the sight of God, of course. We're all of equal value in the sight of God, but if you're not very valuable to the marketplace, you don't get much money. Someone says, well, it shouldn't be that way. Well, start your own country. I mean, see if you can figure it out. We've been working on this one for 200 years. Maybe you can do it a lot quicker, but come on. This is where we're at here. This is what they pay. Now, how do we increase this $5? Well, there's several ways to do it. There was a big debate in Congress, year and a half ago, that said this 5 is too low. Should be 6. 5 is pitiful, kind of pitiful, as if 6 wasn't pitiful. But you see, we don't need to vote or debate this in Congress. 6 is on this ladder. The first step up's got to be where 6 is. So we don't need to legislate. All we need is a ladder that goes from $5 an hour to 200 million. How far could it be from 5 to 6? I mean, it can't be far. If you work for McDonald's and haul out the trash, they'll pay you $5 an hour. If you whistle while you haul out the trash, they'll pay you $6 an hour. I mean, you get an extra dollar just for your attitude. Wear the hat, say, hey, McDonald's, this is a ladder, right? With a ladder, you're supposed to climb. This is not a bed, so we don't need legislation, right? This is a ladder. Now, some people here say, well, I'm waiting for a raise. Well, how long will that take? How often is the review in the corporate world? Once a year. What if you don't make it another year? See, that take a long time. Now, it's okay to take a long time. I'm not saying it isn't okay, but I'm going to show you some alternatives here. Now, some people say, well, I'll go on strike for more. Well, that's one philosophy, but let me give you the problem with that philosophy. And this is good for your notes. You can't get rich by demand, by performance, not by demand. And kids need to understand that as much as anybody. We get rich by performance, not by demand. Once they understand that, guess what they need to go to work on? Performance, and you can start that early. A child says, I need $5. Most of us don't respond to need. But if you said, what could I do to earn $5? See, now you get most anyone's attention, right? The soil doesn't respond to need. You can't go to the soil and say, I need a crop. I mean, the soil will smile at you and say, who is this clown? Don't bring me your need. Bring me some seed. Bring me some activity. bring me some willingness. What would you be willing to do to use me to show an increase? And that's the same is true here, not by demand, but by performance. Now, here's the rest of this ladder. Why would the marketplace pay some people $50 an hour? Here's a key word. This is worth a university education. Here's the word, evidently. Isn't that a good word, evidently? Now, part of it in the gesture. How come some people only get $5 an hour, evidently? How come some people get $50 an hour? Evidently, 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 evidently. It's in the gesture. Evidently is what? Evidently. This person obviously must be more valuable. The marketplace, now, not a more valuable person. No, not more valuable to the family. No, more valuable to the marketplace. You got to keep that in mind. All of us are of equal value. But if you become valuable to the marketplace, see, that's where the cash is. That's where the fortune is. So now, why would the marketplace pay some people $500 an hour? Evidently, evidently. And it's about this liver. Evidently, 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 it's all in the gesture. Evidently, and all you got to do is study this evidently stuff. Evidently, this person must be much more valuable to the marketplace. You got it. That's it. Now, why would the marketplace pay one person $200 million for 1 year's work? Evidently, evidently, it's about like this, isn't it? Evidently, this person must be extraordinarily valuable to the marketplace. Now, would the marketplace pay one person $200 million for 1 year's work? And the answer is, of course. If you helped a company make $5 billion, would they give you $200 million? The answer is, of course. Now, isn't this a heck of a ladder? Now, when I said to show my first mentor, and I showed him my paycheck, and I said, I'm not doing well because this is all they pay. He said, no, this is what they pay. They pay all the way from $5 an hour up to $200 million for 1 year's work. That's what they pay. Now the question is, what do they pay you? Whoa, so we don't have to worry about the pay scale. I'm telling you, we don't have to worry about the pay. There's plenty of pay that's been arranged from $5 an hour to $200 million. That's what they pay. Now the question is, well, how can I climb this ladder? Now, let me give you some of the most startling information my mentor gave me that changed my life forever. Here's what he said, Mr. Owen, to climb this ladder as high as you want to climb it. And how high can you climb? What's the law here? As high as you want to climb. How much property can you own in America? As much as you want. This is called want country. You can have all you want. How healthy can you be? As healthy as you wish. This is wish country. How much enterprise can you create? As much as you want. How much of a fortune can you build? As much as you want. We got us a ladder, but here's one of the major factors. Now we got to go by what do you want. Now, Mr. Sheaf did say to climb this ladder as high as you want to climb it. Here's all you have to do, and make this a part of your notes. If you make this note, the rest are really secondary. This is the most important. Here's what he said. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. When I got that little refined message and added it to my own philosophy, it forever changed my life. I got so excited the first year I could hardly sleep nights. He said, all you've got to do, you don't have to work on the marketplace. You don't have to work on developing a more level playing field. You don't have to work on your boss. You don't have to work on your company. You don't have to change anything out here. You don't have to grab the wind and see if you can hold it back or change it. He said, no, here's all you have to do. Work harder on yourself than you do on anything else. When I did that, my whole life changed. A few years ago, I got a telephone call and finally met in person with a group that said, we're doing business around the world, we're expanding, and we could use a little bit of your help. And if you would help us for a little while, we would add some millions to your fortune. Would you give us a bit of your time and talent? And I said, okay. I thought later, isn't that interesting, they would ask me. My second thought was, of course they'd ask me. Who else would they ask? Now, I told you that at age 25, I was broke, pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank, creditors calling, behind on my big mouth promises to my family. Then how come not long ago I get a telephone call and it's worth millions? How come? The word is evidently. Evidently, something must have happened to this guy between ages 25 and not long ago when I got the telephone call. And I'm telling you, anybody that wants to can work on this to make yourself valuable. Jot this down. It's a bit philosophical, but to put it in philosophical perspective, I think is vitally important. Here it is. Success is something you attract by the person you become. That puts it in perspective. Success is not something you pursue. What you pursue usually eludes you like the butterfly you can't quite catch. So success is not something you pursue or go after. Success is something you attract to you by the person you become. So to attract success, here's what you have to do. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. If you work on your job, you'll make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. And we teach this all the way through the full spectrum, right on up to becoming an entrepreneur. In leadership, we teach to attract attractive people. You must be attractive. So, you go to work on your own attractiveness. To attract committed people, you must be committed. To attract powerful people, you must be powerful. To attract healthy people, you must be healthy. To attract visionary people, you must be a visionary person. See, that's where it starts, and it works even down in all of the personal stuff. I'm telling you, she said, if he becomes that kind of man, attracting that kind of woman is no problem. If she becomes that kind of lady, attracting that kind of gentleman is no problem. What you do is go to work on yourself to make yourself attractive. Make your language attractive, make your appearance attractive, make your insight attractive, make it powerful. Make it workable, make it fundable, make it valuable to the marketplace, and then make it valuable to each other. Make it valuable to people as well as to the market. And I'm telling you, if you go to work on that, your whole life will explode into change. Becoming valuable. Now, here's what's important. Find ways to measure your own value. One of the ways to measure your value is pocketbook income. Now, it's certainly not the only measure. But see, if you don't take the extra classes and learn the extra skills or develop the extra value to the marketplace, then you're denied the open door to having much more than you've got. So the whole key is to learn to judge your own value. You say, well, here's why maybe I haven't attracted this into my life. I have not worked hard enough on myself. I haven't worked on my vocabulary. I haven't worked on my attitude. I haven't worked on my personality. I haven't worked on my abilities and my skills. And I'm telling you, if you turn this around, no telling what can happen to you and happen to your life. So, go to work on that. That's what I did at age 25. Up until age 25, I worked hard on my job and I made a living. Starting at age 25, I worked hard on myself and I made a fortune. And I'm telling you, anybody in this room can do it. This language, this stuff doesn't leave anybody out that's here. It doesn't leave the young person out. You can walk out of the ghetto with this kind of philosophy, step by step. Person by person, apple by apple, book by book, class by class, discipline by discipline. Doesn't matter where you are. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Or start with whatever you got and start working on yourself, and it'll all change. Multiple language support.